Hi, everyone. Tom Slavic, and we're back. Let's talk more about some of the meetings that have been going on. And, of course, this evening, Friday, at, I believe it is 5 o'clock?
4.
4 o'clock? 4 o'clock. The Board of Supervisors are having another emergency meeting, or an unscheduled meeting that got scheduled last Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it's a special meeting to talk just about this topic. I believe what's trying to be happening is the amendments are trying to be proposed, and that might have happened at the Water Agency today, where the Water Agency is adding the amendments that the Board of Supervisors would like, and if those amendments are accepted, then they've agreed to agree to the amendment.
Right.
Not the amendment, that the
There's-
changing of the McCollum to a Wild and Scenic designation.
Right. There's a hearing on Monday at the Senate Assembly Natural Resource Committee. And so that's why they've been backed up and pushed, trying to get all this coordinated. And if the Foothill Conservancy had gone through the collaborative process and we had time to discuss this on all sides, they might have found out that maybe we agree with something that they are worried about. But they never gave the Board of Supervisors, any of the water districts on either side of the river, any knowledge of this. And when I asked Catherine about it, if they would have watched our website, they could have found out about it. Well, unfortunately, I'm not part of the Foothill Conservancy. I hope I never will be. I do care about the river, and a lot of people I know do care about clean water and clean air. But the EPA has gone out of sight and increased the size of particles, carbon particles can be in the air, and have taken and made almost 85% of wood stoves non-compliant with their standards now. So people who burn for heating ability in the mountains, we're being restricted, and I think they just want us out of the mountains.
Okay, let me ask you, I believe people should know, I'm not sure if everybody does, but we have an EPA in California, and we have a California EPA, and there's the national or federal EPA. So when you were talking about
I was talking about the federal EPA standards.
federal EPA standards.
Yes,
All right.
who wants to take over the state. And there's a big concern now because of state, under the 10th Amendment, there's certain things that belong to the states to
Basically,
govern.
Okay.
But the federal government is implementing more and more to take over those things. And so we're getting constantly put under a big centralized government
Okay.
that we have no recourse to.
All right, and I guess the reason why I feel there's no recourse because these laws are being made at the EPA level by bureaucrats who,
Yes.
if we would disagree, we could not vote out. Is
Right.
that what you're saying?
Right. They're appointed, and it's an administrative arm, and the legislature at the federal level and at the state level aren't really doing their job. They should be the ones that make laws. But through the courts and rules and regulations, they're smothering businesses, especially the small business people. They're really getting hurt. But just the middle class is getting one thing after another coming down that we can't do or shouldn't do or restrict it. And why I'm so concerned about the water here in the EPA, because there's new rules coming down that will affect private property. And the Wild and Scenic also affects private property. And they don't have to always take something by eminent domain, but the regulations that they apply to a piece of property regulates how they can use it. And they do it different ways of restricting your property rights. Water rights are a property right. And if we don't have that anymore, and that's what part of the EPA, part of the United Nations, and more government wants to take away private property. They're kind of dismantling our Bill of Rights, the right to speak, the right to believe or not to believe, the right to own property or not own property, the right of condemnation. They've changed under the Kelo decision, which is now public use was changed to public benefit. And if the benefit is to redistribute the wealth to everybody, you're going to knock out the middle class real fast, and that's happening no matter what President Obama says. Everything he says he's trying to help, it does the opposite.
Okay, well, let's get back a little bit more.
Okay.
That's on subject, which is let's go back to the McCollum River and also the water in it and the need for water for fire protection. Now, because of the drought, I believe, we're limited right now.
We're limited right now, plus Upcountry. Why I'm so concerned for that area is because they only have junior water rights. We've already been told and curtailed that we cannot take our water that is supposed to be ours out of the river because we only have junior water rights.
I think that this concept of the junior water rights and just knowing about it is something that came up. I'm not sure if it was exactly through this current process of the Wild and Scenic, but it seemed to catch a lot of Amador elected officials by surprise.
I think the state Wild and Scenic law took not only water officials, but the water district officials by surprise. Everybody just assumed it was only about keeping the dam from being built. But when they actually read the law and understood what the language says, then it kind of scared them because it prohibited them from being able to improve or maintain anything as long as it might affect the free flow of the river.
Okay, so I guess that is the part where a lot of people go, oh my gosh, and that's because it sounds pretty specific, but in other ways it sounds rather vague. And we all know that the job of attorneys is to argue over phrases like that. So,
well, Catherine, she
Go
kept
ahead.
saying that, Catherine Evick, she kept saying, well, nobody's going to take private property. It's not in the law, blah, blah, blah. And I read it, and it says, yes, they do not intend to unless they give them just compensation. So she didn't put in the whole statement, half-truth.
I'm not sure if I follow you there. When the government has a taking, it is supposed to pay for the taking. Is that what you're referring to?
Right. But she says, it doesn't do that. And I said, she said, we don't take private property. And I said, well, it's allowed to be done by the law of Wild and Scenic.
I'm not sure where that would be. Could you tell me where you think that?
It's in the code section, and I'll give you a copy when we get here. I don't have it right
Okay,
now.
all right, thank you. All right, and because in a way it doesn't seem to me that there is an exact taking of anyone's property in the way that I think about it.
No, they just restrict them.
But the
Up in
restriction
climates.
of saying things will be the way that they, I look at it like things would probably be the way they are because we're running rafts and we're doing things like that now. Seems to be everything is the way that it is will be after the Wild and Scenic. That designation will
That's why
be
we
that
don't.
way, other than the possibilities of taking out more water or from above that. In other words, it needs to stay the way it is now.
Well, it's not going to because they do have total use of land use in there. It depends what Fish and Game says. The Secretary of Resources gives the power to him to coordinate with all the other governmental environmental agencies.
So I guess then this way you're saying it is a way of saying that it's like the devil's in the details, and the details right now are very vague. And the details get made possibly further down the road by one or two regulators who...
Regulators can regulate your property, may not actually take it, but they can keep you from using it.
Okay,
by
so
certain
once again,
regulations.
the devil's in the details of what that word means.
Right.
All right. And we have a minute left. Why don't you tell everyone what you think is going to be happening next? Not the end result, but
I don't know what the end result
we have a meeting.
We have a meeting
This
tonight
evening?
at the Board of Supervisors and all those that want to learn more about it.
Okay.
I always say, read the law yourself. Don't just take my advice or Catherine Evitt's
Right.
advice. Read it yourself so you
I
understand
would like
the
to say also,
issues.
when I was at that meeting, it was clear that's what you were saying. The people that had said, well, you know, you're biased, or the council, the Upcountry Council is now biased, and you would say, well, I have an opinion, but I want you all to read all of the information, and that's what we're going to be presenting. Now, I had taped that as well, so we will probably be airing that also on TSPN.
It's our job to get the information of the concerns for people upcountry. And because of the loss of water we have, the situation we have now with the poor distribution system and the hydrants that we can't use, even we're having what you would call a practice and training thing coming up with Kathy Brazil has organized it, with the fire, CAL FIRE, and our local people, to try to show how we can save our properties up country, and if we've cleaned the areas well enough for them to say that property is worth saving or not. But because of environmental restrictions and lawsuits, the forest has overgrown, and we have seen more fire damage destroying more watershed than any little habitat problem that we might use, you know, by using the water there. It's unbelievable because they've destroyed more animals, more land by ash, and the watersheds, because the last one was last year in the rim fire. And it kind of brought it home that smoke and what it did for the air quality. We went all the way to Idaho, and while we were driving up 395, southern Oregon was still smoky because of the rim fire up
All
there.
right, well, we're out of time. I guess everyone needs to be concerned. Water's life, and it's certainly very important. And I believe there was once a statement, whiskey's to drink and water's to fight over. And we're
Right, Mark Twain.
gonna leave it at that. Okay, Mark Twain, good. And he's from the other county that's involved in this, so was from the other county. Tom Slavic, thanks for watching TSPN. We'll see you again next time. You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.